Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast. We're live yet again. Evening, gents. I'm joined once again by Mr. Stephen Best.
Maybe temporarily. We'll see how my internet holds out.
Yeah, we're having technical problems in the Bestie household tonight. So if he freezes, it's don't adjust your sets. It is the Wi-Fi down in Bestie's gaff. And of course, Mr. Petrie himself, Decker's here as well, sitting in the greenhouse with the suntan like that.
Yeah, I've been in the sun loads, man. Every time I get a chance, I'm out there oiling up. When I see me white bits,
spending too much time on the old golf course, eh?
Yeah, very true. You bat me neck really red, like to be fair, like. Aye, all good, mate. All good.
That's what these professionals do in the summer, isn't it? Just spend the summer out on the course.
Yeah, I thought I'd just follow Gareth Bale, you know what I mean, in his footsteps, and just pie everything else off and just play golf.
Sounds like a good plan. But we are back. We're here.
Not all that, actually.
Yeah. I'd quite happily do that instead of having to come on and talk about this drivel that is Newcastle United FC. But we must go on. The show must go on, as they say. So we are back again to have a little bit of a chat. Another one in our pre-season schedule. So we're going to have a little bit of chat of a few different topics that we've got in plan. So we'll have a discussion around some of the games that we've had in the recent days. We'll have a look at some of the transfers, incomings, potential incomings, and outgoings, etc. And then we'll hand it over to the lovely listeners and viewers who have got a load of questions lined up for us as well.
I say transfers in won't take very long, like.
It won't, no. That's why I said potential as well, just to give her a little bit of something to discuss on that one. So I think transfers has been the big hot topic over the last few days with big rumours around Scottish international Ryan Fraser looking to join us from Bournemouth. So, according to media outlets, it's a done deal, and we're just awaiting on the player himself actually, signing the paperwork. So, Decker, I know you've been full of comment around Ryan Fraser in social media and in private chats and stuff. So, what's your thoughts on this one?
First of all, I think it will be an amazing signing, if I'm honest. Considering that originally he was linked with a move to the top 6 club before whatever happened at Bournemouth, and obviously I know it's been dreadful, really, the way that his career seems to have ended there, not even playing games, getting no playing time, all the rest of it. But it's a real step up in class for us, I think, in regards to what we've got. Obviously, of course, St. Maximin plays in that position, so I'm not saying he's near St. Maximin, but that's 2 really impressive wide men. It reminds me a little bit like when I have watched him play, a bit like a Bellamy in regards to a bit of a dickhead, a bit of a Raji, quite quick. Loves to get on the ball, loves to try and get at players, beat a man, and that's right up my street. If I'm honest, I don't really know the full ins and outs of why Bournemouth fell away. I don't know if it was contract issues or whatever. But his last time he played a professional, an actual competitive game, must have been a while ago, I would imagine. So that's a slight concern. Is he? Will he be able to come in and hit the ground running? But I'm certainly not against the signing. I think it's great business on a free as well.
Yeah, so there has been a bit of talk around the fact that he did fall out of favour somewhat at Bournemouth in the last couple of months. I think he hadn't played since the very beginning of the year or something like that, and had a little to no game time. There's been a few questions asked about perhaps his commitment to the cause. Bestie, would that give you any cause for concern that he maybe hasn't got the right attitude?
No.
straight to the point.
We've got Wi-Fi problems.
I think we've lost.
Not at all. It's Jeff Hendrick did exactly the same.
Were you singing Geordie's there, Best?
Jeff Hendrick after restart.
I think the Daleks have invaded
What happened there,
into the Bestie there. Let's try that one again. You're back with us?
Should we try again? I didn't know I'd gone, to be honest with you. Jeff Hendrick did the same thing. Jeff Hendrick, after a restart, said, "I'm not going to bother. I'm run my contract down. I don't want to get injured, and I'll be moving at the end of the season." So Ryan Fraser, for me, the same situation. He's just said, "I want to move. It's like enough's enough, and I'm not going to extend my contract any further," because obviously the contracts ended during the, what do you call it, didn't it? During the cessation, if you want to call it that. So, no, I'm not concerned at all.
Do you think it would be a good signing, Bestie? Do you think he's got quality?
I think so. Like, I mean, he was really well talked about. As you're saying, like, he held in very high regard by all accounts. Like, I wouldn't say he plays like him, but he reminds me a little bit of Shaqiri. His body shape, like little and kind of square.
Good shout.
So I'd like to think. I mean, if he can. I mean, I don't suppose body shape is a massive amount to go by with regard to football and quality, because, well, all shapes and sizes and all that, lads. Like, but yeah, I think he looks like a cracking little side. If he can come in with, I mean, I dare say we're going to come to Callum Wilson shortly. If they can come in with the understanding that they've had from playing together for how many years, I'm not going to say it's a great window, but it's not a catastrophe.
I think it's interesting what you say there about the Shaqiri link there, because I'm sure originally there was talk of him being kind of like a reserve. It was like Shaqiri was going to leave, I think, and they were going. Liverpool were linked with Ryan Fraser. I think it was to replace him as a kind of like for like as a squad player. Obviously, he's not going to start for the likes of Liverpool, but no, personally, I think it's a really good. Well, if it happens, by the way, but I don't want to say that he's definitely signed, but it certainly looks promising. I know a lot of it's down to where his family live, isn't it? In Aberdeen, I believe, and it's obviously closer for him to home and stuff like that. So I'm all for that. Like, it'll be a great.
That's one of the big pulls, is that we're obviously far north, and it seems to play in our hands
for once.
Yeah. So it normally goes against us, but as you say, his family are from Aberdeen. He wants to move closer to them to have that connection and be closer to them. So, like you say, it seems to have worked in our favour for once. I guess my only concern is that a lot of the talk is that this deal has been wrapped up for days and days, and it's just almost that it's kind of stalled a little bit. And in my thoughts are, is this his agent kind of hanging on, playing games, trying to get better deals, waiting for another club to come in to show a bit of interest? Because, as you say, he certainly has got interest from clubs that, let's face it, he'd probably rather want to go and join those. Like Spurs has been talked about, Liverpool, as you mentioned. So, is there a chance that this is a delaying tactic by his agent to perhaps get a move to a potentially bigger, better team that's going to offer him a position that's higher up the table with more to play for than we can at this time?
I think it is. I probably agree with you. I think something similar happened with Daniel Sturridge, didn't it, when we tried to get him on loan? I think it looked like it was a done deal, and then West Brom came in, and I think that was, I don't know if that was because it was closer to where he lived, etc., etc. But the thing is, obviously, if a club comes in that's higher up the table, or so that can finish higher up in the table, in fairness, is going to be further down south, right? So, you're hoping that obviously the pull of being closer to home obviously will take effect. I would imagine, with it being a free, will be offering sweet enough wages to. Obviously, he's already agreed, hasn't he? So the wages must be sweet enough. So that's that kind of done. It would be awful though, as I say, you're this far along the line, and your agent is quietly putting out little rumours that obviously he's going to sign for Newcastle. Do you want him? And you lose him at the 11th hour. But let's fingers crossed that doesn't happen, and we'll get him in.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been here before. As you say, I think like Rennie's a one that massively springs to mind for me. The first time around that we tried to sign him, eventually he did come in, and we know how brilliant that turned out in that short time that he was here. But looking at some positives, we've had two done deals. One was quite early on in the pre-season with Mark Gillespie joining us, and we've also announced now the signing of Jeff Hendricks. Both have gone into the first team and have had a couple of games now since they've joined us. Obviously, we know Dubravka is now going to be out for a little while with an injury, so gives an opportunity for Gillespie and also Darlow to step up to the plate. Bestie, being our honorary goalkeeping number one slot, who you going with at the start of the season? The anticipation of this answer.
It's a tough one to call, isn't it? I mean, I was saying last week that Gillespie, I'd love Gillespie to do well. Like, he was released by Motherwell at the end of last season, so that doesn't necessarily mean he's a terrible goalkeeper, but nor does it kind of fill you with that much confidence that he's going to be able to come in and do a job in the Premier League. And we already know, well, I'm not going to be too cruel in case Carl's listening, but he's not a goalkeeper that I think is very good, to be honest with you. He makes an awful lot of mistakes, and I remember I just don't rate him. I don't rate him at all. I think he's not an awful goalkeeper, but a very bad goalkeeper.
So you're undecided on Darlow at the moment, then?
Jury's out. I'd like to see a bit more of him. No, I just don't think he's been here for it must be 5 or 6 years now. He had one in the Premier League, but in the first team in the Championship, and a bit before Dubravka arrived, and I just didn't see anything to make us think he's the man. Like, his decision making isn't very good. His positioning, I've seen Sunday League keepers with better positioning. I just don't think he's very good.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've always kind of.
I'm fearful for the season if Caldwell was our best goalkeeper. Yeah, I remember his debut. One of the first time I saw him in the first team was at the Hawthorns, and you know when you say cross coming and the camera pans across, he just wasn't where you'd expect a goalkeeper to be, and like from pretty innocuous, it terrifies me. You look at, like, he made some great saves, but then like the big save he made was the one against Rotherham, when he kind of got a hurdle over Yedlin, and it was a brilliant save, but he had to make it because he dropped the ball outside the box.
Yeah, his own mistake, wasn't it? Came from that one.
It was. If Darlow was the best, so probably Gillespie.
I couldn't say Gillespie. Like, to be honest, I mean, it's just with him, as you said, just getting released from Motherwell. I mean, Jesus Lord, like you can just walk in our team. You know what I mean? But obviously, Woodman signed a new contract, and I'll be honest with you, I thought there might be a chance there, but he's went back to Swansea, hasn't he, on loan? So that was a bit of a surprise for me, if I'm honest. I don't know. I thought maybe with Dubravka's injury, we might say, right, okay, he has your chance type of thing. But
I think that loan deal had already been tied up by the point that Dubravka got out injured. So I think that's what kind of ruled that one out. The good thing for me that you mentioned around Woodman is the fact that he has signed a new deal before we've let him go out on loan. I know from all accounts, Swansea were very keen on signing him and wanting to go there. So
for once we've done good business. For once, we've actually done something.
So he is very, very highly rated within the club and externally. Obviously, he plays for the England young'uns as well. So he's definitely got the pedigree there to go on to be a good keeper.
I agree with Bestie though. You know, like if you have to be realistic about that position. If Darlow is your starting goalkeeper, you know, going into the season, for how many games is Dubravka going to be out for? Could be 7, 8 games, maybe longer. It's you know, it's really not good. Like it's not good.
It's a worry because that's always the kind of the thing that was labelled with Darlow, was that he was very unpredictable and always error prone. Yep. I think there's no secret that the managers that we've had in recent years, while he's been at the club, have always looked to strengthen in the goalkeeping area. We've had a host of other keepers that have came in while he's been there and gone straight ahead of him in the starting position and also on the bench and stuff like that. So, you know, they're seeing him every day, and if that's the decisions that the management and the coaching team are making, then it doesn't really hold much surprise that again we're signing other goalkeepers to potentially look to give him a bit of competition or as we say now, get get in front of him in the queue to battle for that number 1 slot at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. We'll have to just see what happens, I guess. Well, I think Bessie's got some more food here, by the way, by the looks of it. Yeah, he's dipping into something.
I hope it's not a mini
He
milk.
can't.
Amy's just come in. Amy's just come in, had a fight with him off, and given us a custard slice.
Oh, nice. That's
Lovely.
a bonus. So let's hope his video doesn't pause in any unfortunate positions and leave him exposed like his mini milk escapades. He could be caught mid.
There's potential for catastrophe here.
Tongue out mid lick, and it just freezes on screen. Well, that's it. Just give her a bit of a talking point for to go. So obviously we've got the keeper, and the other signing that we've got confirmed at the minute is Hendricks. So we have had a little bit of a chat around him, but he's subsequently started a couple of games. Decker, I know you were a fan of the pictures that we've seen of him in recent weeks on his holidays and stuff like that with his
it's me wallpaper. It's a wallpaper on my phone, if I'm honest with you. Like, yeah, that's some photo, right? I wouldn't wear a top if I looked that good.
Wow.
But I'd just be sitting here now without a top on. But you know what it is. It's I'm always trying to think of me worry is right. Is that yes, I know that he's a workhorse, and I know that he's got Premier League experience. He doesn't look the quickest in the world from some of the clips that I've seen of him. And I worry in the middle of the park. We need legs in there. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. I do worry slightly. But having said that, I know Burnley were very keen to keep a hold of him. And there's a lot of people I've sort of seen on social media and stuff like that have watched him play and said that he's got a lot to offer. He's an international, etc., etc. And I suppose when you look at what we have got, it's probably a welcome added body, probably that has experience. So, fingers crossed. It's just, I think again for me, it's just like another. I think what upsets us a little bit, it's just another bargain basement, isn't it? It's another free. And that's no reflection on him, but I just mean in general, like you've got Ryan Fraser who's potentially coming in. Yes, all right, I am pleased with that, but it's another free transfer. And I just think it just seems to such the soft way and the shit way to try and get a player in that we're looking at frees to try and improve the squad. It just hurts us, if I'm honest, a little bit.
I think free transfers are always kind of looked on as being, a cheap option to get somebody in, but what tends to happen is that you then, although you aren't, paying out a transfer fee to get them in, you end up paying a larger amount of money to get the deal done anyway, whether that be through a signing on bonus or higher wages and stuff like that, because obviously the club itself hasn't forked out that money up front to pay for a transfer fee.
Colback was on money that no one would expect, but as you rightly say, it's because it was a free. And wish him all the best. Of course, I want him to be the best centre midfielder in the league. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I just, I don't know. I always feel that we need someone that's good on the ball, can dictate the game a little bit. And I feel as if Hendricks, from what I've heard about and what I've seen, is more of like an engine. He's a solid 7 out of 10 kind of guy. You know what I mean? Sorry there, Bestie.
No, I'm just agreeing with you there. Like, I think he's a box to box, like pretty steady. He's a good fit lad. He'll run 90 minutes, Alarmingly, this is exactly what was said about Colback when he signed as well. That he was a 7 out of 10 and he was a good, honest pro, and he's unspectacular. So we'll see. I think Hendricks on a free transfer is a great signing. He's not someone at the start of the window that I would have said we must go and get, because I think he's wonderful. And the constraints that they're working under, when you compare them to what Leeds have done and what Fulham did a couple of years ago, what Villa did last summer, newly promoted clubs, these are. I mean, it doesn't always work, but to see that you've got a transfer budget of 35 million, apparently, probably including wages, for a team that's now in their 4th season back up, it's galling. Like, it's like, when does it end?
Yeah, it's a good point. As you say, fourth season up. You know what I mean? When you think of that, and you've got, you've got like Leeds buying Rodrigo and linked with other players and stuff. Don't get us wrong. I mean, the season before we signed Joe for 40 and Saint and all the rest of it. I do get that, but we have to be in a much better financial footing than what we currently are to be dipping into bargain basements for free transfers and things like that. I mean, penny for a lot of Bruce's thoughts. Even he must be banging his head against the wall, thinking, "Fuck me, this is horrendous." You know what I mean? And you can blame all the bullshit of COVID and all that crap. You know what I mean? It doesn't wash with me. Like there should be. I had heard that remember there was meant to be money there in January, wasn't there? That we didn't spend, and that was meant to be carrying over. You know, where's that?
We had that successful bid for the midfielder of, what was it, 25 million pounds?
That's right. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So where's that money? Do you know what I mean? It's just. But it's a never-ending circle, isn't it? And we sit around in the pub or in here or whatever, and we'll have the same conversation every single time a transfer window comes up. Where the fuck's the money gone? And you're just going round in circles. You know what I mean? It can get very draining very quickly.
It's a phrase that's become so synonymous with the club. We've even got a banner that says it.
Yeah, and it is. It's very, very true. But sorry, we digressed a bit there. Hendricks, you know, he's got experience. He's played in the Premier League for a long time, international. As Bessie said, a bit of a box-to-box player, and it's another body. And in fairness, we need them. So,
yeah, I think when you're looking at the midfield, we've lost players, not so much starters in there, but certainly from the squad. Colback's gone, Key's gone. We've obviously Henri Servais came back.
Yeah.
My
question would be: would you say Hendricks is a step up from Bentaleb? You'd certainly like to think so. I think.
Yeah, I think only time will tell on that one. You know, Bentaleb when he first came, he looked quite tidy in the first game or two that we saw of him, and then it just went downhill, and he'd have the odd good game or odd flash.
There was just no effort there for me. There was no effort there.
Yeah, it just.
You know what I mean, it was no hard.
Well, I think from you're effectively losing him and bringing in Hendricks in his place, aren't you? Is the simplest way of looking at it.
We re-signed Matty as well. That's another thing we haven't sort of touched on. I'm not trying to say it's a new signing or anything like that, but obviously Matty's come back in.
Bit of positive spin.
You know, hopefully he gets more game time, because as far as a lot of the reports I had read it wasn't necessarily down to money. It was about, you know, I will stay, but I'm not just going to sit on the bench all the time again. So again, it's another body, and Matty's definitely got something. But I've said this for a while, and I hate it. You know, people might not like it, but if you think is Matty a starting centre midfielder in a Premier League team, I'd have to say no to you. I'd have to say no. That's just my opinion. He might become that, but I mean, not now. He's not, you know. So,
yeah, I think there's not many would disagree with you. He needs time. He needs a run of games to get that consistency of performance into his game, just like his brother, like we're seeing, you know, particularly last season, after the brief the highlights that we're seeing in his introduction. In the previous season, he looked a world beater, obviously linked with Man United and stuff, and then things went off the boil. But I'll be interested to see what happens with Sean this season. Will the signings of Hendricks that we've got, and the fact that we've got Shelvey and Hayden and also Matty that can play that little bit deeper, will that give him the opportunity to push on and get more into that attacking midfield role where we seem to have seen the better performances from him? Is that somewhere you'd like to see him, Decker?
100% agree. 100%. I think I don't think he's technically good enough to be sitting deep in midfield. To be honest with you, he struggles when he gets pressed on the ball. But as we've seen though, when he plays kind of behind the striker, almost, if you like, he looks a different player. He's got a good shot on him. He's got a good hit on him, and I've, you know, a lot of his goals have come from in and around that area. You know, just taking a pot shot, and he gets in good areas when he's further up the field. The difficulty you've got there, though, and I do agree with him wanting to do that. Almiron, for example, probably will be the 10, especially if we sign Fraser. You would think it would be Fraser, Saint, and Almiron. So that you know, it gives you options, I guess. It just, if you did that, then Sean can't play in that role. And I will touch on one thing. I know we'll get there anyway, but I've just kind of said it. That front four, if Wilson did come, by the way, excites us a lot. The idea of Fraser, Almiron, Saint, and then Wilson, that really excites us. Yes, it might not be the Coutinhos and the Mbappés that people thought we were going to be getting this time of year, but it's exciting, I think, personally. If it happens, I'm saying they were getting two players we haven't even got yet, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so there's a lot of positive chat today around Wilson. He's a name that hasn't gone away across all of the summer. Obviously, since Bournemouth were confined down to the Championship, they were looking to, obviously, their better players looking to jump ship, as generally happens during relegations. Again, a lot of interest from number of clubs in him. But the big story that's kind of came out today and has been getting a lot of column inches and messages on social media, etc., is the fact that Wilson would be open to coming north. However, Bournemouth will only do a deal with us if they receive Matt Ritchie in exchange, as well as a cash sum. So, Bestie, what are your thoughts on potentially losing Matt Ritchie, but with sending him down there with a whole load of money to get Wilson up here? What a time for his Wi-Fi to go. How stern does he look on that picture as well?
Yeah, he doesn't look at me.
Yeah, I can tell by that face that Bestie doesn't want to lose Matt Ritchie.
It would depend. Is it?
Oh, he's there.
Oh, he's there. Is that a voice? Is there a voice from Jarrah coming in?
It's like Eurovision, isn't it? It's weird because I can see you all talking and hear you when you say, "Oh, he's frozen." I can see he's looking stern. And I'm thinking, I don't know that I've gone. But Ritchie would be sad to see him go. I think he's been a great player. Have I gone again?
No. It was just.
No, you're still there. You're still there.
It was just going slow. Just looked funny.
Your voice is good. Your pictures not so much.
That was always the way with me, man. Always the way. Ritchie would be. He's been a great signing. When he came in, he did a fantastic job in the Championship, playing right midfield for the most part. He's left foot. The balls in the box, free kicks, corners. I thought he was brilliant, really good. He did okay first season back up. He scored some important goals. Got one at home to Man U, home to Arsenal. And then moved in at left wing back when Rafa went to 5, and then subsequently Bruce played with 5 at the back this year. So I think he's been a great player. All that in mind, he's 31, 32 now. I think his family live on the South Coast. He's wanted to go for a while now. Apparently, he doesn't like it up here much at all. I'll cut him loose. I like him. I think he's been a great player, but there comes a point with every player where they've got to go, isn't it? I think they get Callum Wilson in, who isn't exactly, I wouldn't call him especially prolific striker, but I think he'll score more goals than Joe Linton has done in that position this season, and that's kind of, I suppose that's the bar at the minute, isn't it? So I think it's, again, depending on how much money it will cost, I think it's a good deal. I think we should go for it.
Yeah, I think looking at his figures, he works out around about a 1 in 4 striker at the moment, which, like you say, isn't great on paper. If you think back to recent years, probably Rondon was of a similar ilk. Didn't come with a great goal scoring record. Very much the same when he first joined us. He didn't hit the ground running, as we're well aware, and then went on to do much better things. So there's a head and a heart decision going on around this one with Wilson and Ritchie, and I guess we're in more need of a striker, particularly if we do get this signing of Fraser over the line and get him in. We've obviously got your mate Decker, that's doing well at the moment out on the wing in Murphy. That'll give her a little bit of backup out there as well.
Yeah, we'll get on to him in a minute, actually.
Yeah, so I think good point from Bestie is around Ritchie's age and the fact that he is 31 now. Fraser, I think, is 26, if I remember rightly. So there's a good 5-year difference there that you're looking to kind of exchange those two and bring Wilson in. So as much as I love Ritchie for what he kind of brings to the team and his work ethic, his management of the players around him, both on and off the pitch and stuff like that. All of the players that speak about him speak about how important he is and all of that kind of thing. So it's not for me just what he does on the pitch that we would miss, but I think in balance, I think if we can do it, again, depending on that fee, as you've just mentioned, depending on how much it is, it could be a good bit of business if we can bring both of them in from Bournemouth and let Ritchie move back down south to be with his family.
So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Like an absolute no-brainer. I like Matt Ritchie, love his attitude, love all of the commitment and aggression and attitude he's shown in our shirt. I honestly do, 100%. But I think I've just said this a couple of weeks ago when we did one of these podcasts. I said, when you could name the team now, and I think it started the championship season 4 years ago, the same team. Every team at some point has to progress and has to let these players go. And I think Ritchie's one of them, where 100% done a fabulous job in the championship for her. He's filled in every area of the field. To be fair, fucking hell, he went centre midfield for 5 minutes under Bruce, I'm sure. So this guy's played everywhere except in goal, I think. And I love his attitude. I love his spirit. I love what he's doing with it. As you say, when he's on the field, how he try and gets the best out of the players. But if you look at his age and you look at what he can offer moving forward, and then you look at the area of the pitch where we are struggling, like no other team, I think, in that area of the field, it is a no-brainer. What my question would be, though, is it's 30 million, I believe, the one for Wilson. I think that was the price quoted, right? How much do you think Ritchie is taking off that 30 million? I don't think very much at 31 or 32. So is it going to be like 25 plus that or 23 plus that? Like, I don't know. That's my question.
I
think 20 plus.
I'd be looking for maybe between 5 and 10 million kind of valuation.
He'd be cracking for them in the championship, by the way. It's a great signing for them, It's a great signing for Bournemouth because they've just went down. They're going to get a player who already knows the club. He knows the division that they're in at the minute. I think it's a great piece of business for them as well. But it's still going to cost us, 20, 22, 23, I think, to get him. I would still do it. I'm just saying, I think we've got an opportunity. We're very lucky here on two counts. The first one, the Ryan Fraser one, he wants to move north to live closer to his family. The second one is them want Matt Ritchie. So we're very, very lucky, I think, on both counts of these transfers that we kind of hold a very good chunk in that. And hopefully we can get it done and get it sealed.
And apparently that's what's getting us ahead of Villa, who are the next kind of nearest to us in wanting to get a hold of him. Is that we can offer Ritchie in exchange. Yep. It's quite ironic that Villa are wanting to sign him as well when they've spent must be about 67 million on the two strikers that they've already got there at the club.
You know what it is, Mark? Summer. Do you know what it is, right? And I've said this for a long time, and I know people we aren't the only club looking for a striker because I feel as it is the hardest position in the league to find. Loads of teams spunk big money on strikers and it doesn't work. Bournemouth have done it themselves with a lad from Liverpool. I remember there's been a fortune for him. He's absolutely awful.
Signed two, didn't it? Ivan Solanko.
So that's the one I'm thinking of. It's a problem position for so many teams. And you know what it is? If you're not careful, you could get into a cycle of having to spend 20 million every single window to try and find the answer. But in this situation,
it's an age-old question, isn't it?
It is. It really is. But in this situation, in terms of the opportunity that's presenting itself, I think you have to take it 100%.
So that leads us nicely into a question from a friend of the show, Neil Jar. Other than being completely useless, why do you think it takes NUFC forever to get deals done? Even free agents are seeming to take ages. So
I think Lee Charnley takes a... Oh, sorry, apologise. You go, Bestie.
He's probably frozen. It'll take him 10 minutes.
So it might take a second. I don't know. It's bizarre. I mean, obviously, signing players are the kind of how slow we are to kind of get players. Sign's been a bugbear of fans for years and years, since Pardew, probably since before then even. But this summer's been really strange. Like Jeff Hendrick signed about a week and a half before he was announced. Then obviously we've got this thing with Ryan Fraser now, apparently, where it's all agreed. It's just waiting on the Premier League like ratifying it or something like that. Is it somewhat along those lines? I don't know, but it's just so strange. I mean, I suppose another thing eventually the communication with the club. I mean, that was a thing for a while. They were kind of it's all been done through third parties, newspapers and stuff like that. Have the club actually announced anything over the summer apart from Hendrick signing?
No. Just the Hendricks, isn't it? As far as I'm aware.
I mean, they didn't even give her the result. They didn't even tell her the result.
They gave her the result, just not the scoreline.
Yeah.
No, that's right. But no, it's just so peculiar that it feels as though, I mean, I don't want to get into takeover talk because we're both at tits with that. I mean, I'm sure we all are. But it feels as if they're working on a skeleton staff because they're still hopeful that something happens or waiting for something to happen. Or going back to the point I made earlier about the transfer budget, I mean, it feels as if actually he's just trying to have as little outlay as possible because he wants the club to be gone. Like, he doesn't want to be involved anymore. So, not that I'm saying that's an indication that things are rosy and there's going to be a takeover. It just feels as if the club's kind of at the bare bones at the minute.
Yep.
So Stuart's asking a question around Wilson as well. So given that we have some work in progress players, do you think Wilson is our best option rather than bringing in an unknown from France or Germany with the risk that entails? So he's obviously thinking along the same lines of bringing in potential through relatively unknown from another league, whereas Wilson's obviously has played in the Premier League for a number of seasons. He's used to the type of game and should hit the ground running.
I totally agree with
you
it.
go for this one, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. Like, I think, as I said, you have to get him. You have to go and get him. I mean, for the price you're talking for a player who's, I don't want to use the term done it in the Premier League, but he's certainly been in the Premier League, and he's you know what I mean. He's represented England as well. He's been called up to England due to his performances before and stuff like that. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. Honestly, it's a no-brainer. Especially when the question is right, is that we've went and spent 40 million on someone who's never played in the position we're playing him in, and never played in this country before. So if you're telling me 2022 is going to get you a player who's used to playing in that position, has played in the league before, knows that the Premier League, as I've said it 10 times now, it's a no-brainer. Like, you've got to go and get him. But going back to Neil's question, the worry is how long it would take to do deals, and it gives other teams the opportunity to just nip in there, and like they did with Remy, as you mentioned before, Mark. That's my biggest worry. We don't ever hurry up, get a deal done. Most clubs now, if them knew that Wilson was wanting to come, bang, they would be hell bent on getting it signed off. And as usual, we'll be dragging our heels. And is that to me, that goes down to Charnley. That's my opinion, but yeah, it is a bare bug of mine. The only time I've ever seen what act quickly was one window in January when we signed about 10 French players, it felt like. And it was literally every day, every hour, or just go for France, Sissoko, or Mambia, whatever. It's the only time I've ever seen what act quickly in a window. And it's not good enough. Something like that.
Yeah, I think we see transfer window after transfer window. There's clubs that'll go out and get their business done very, very early. They've identified the players that they want. They get the deal agreed with the club. They speak to the player, and it's done and announced. We tend to be the opposite way around. We identify the players, we start talking to them, we apparently put offers on the table which are lower, and then we spend months and months trying to come to a deal with the club, and then when we do finally get somewhere with it, it takes for a lifetime to get it. I'm going to say the line, get it over the line. It's, how often have we heard that one?
Not to try and defend what's gone on, but out of any window that has been, I would say that everyone at the club probably thought they were going to be sold. So if they haven't been looking at certain players or been speaking, I could maybe forgive them slightly on that one, because obviously they probably thought they were going to be sold. But having said that, when you have players that are willing to come, like we just discussed, now's the time where you have to go and do the business as quickly as possible. That's just how I feel anyway.
Yeah, and I think on the Fraser one that you kind of hinting at there, I think to give the club the dues, I think they've done that at this stage, and it's now with him and his agents just to sign it and to get it done. So I don't. Maybe that's a one where we are just kind of hanging on the will of somebody else doing it. So We've got an interesting comment from Mark D NUFC 84, who might be a lad I bought a strip off recently, I think. He's asking the question. Quick question: Celtic apparently in for Atsu. Surely a discussion has been talked about Cash and Atsu for Edouard. Thoughts on that one?
I seen the link tonight there about Atsu to Celtic. Again, another player for me that if you're looking to try and progress, he has to go, right? Like, you cannot keep a hold of these players forever. In my opinion, he may be very good in Scotland, by the way. He'd probably be pretty good up there. And you're hoping any type of money we're getting goes into the kitty. Whether I believe that, I'm not so sure if that really happens, but you would like to think so. And sorry, it cut out for me. Who did you say? Sorry, the exchange for who?
Edouard.
Oh, right. Okay. Well. I doubt that. I think they'll just want to buy him. I think, and that's that. But how much do you get for Atsu? 5 million? I don't know. 4 or 5. I'm not sure. But
again, he's a one that if Fraser does come in, he kind of Atsu is a little bit of surplus to requirement. Because you've got Fraser and St. Maximum, that's going to be ahead of him on that left hand side.
Yeah. And that's about upgrading. That's what it's about, isn't it? You move Atsu up, but you get Fraser in. That's an upgrade. That's how a football club should work. You're upgrading in them positions, you know. You've let Bentley go, or whoever may else have left, and you've brought in Hendricks, which you're hoping is going to be an upgrade. Fair enough, it's not really bringing in Iniesta for him, but you're hoping it's an upgrade. You know, I mean, that's how you think a football club should work.
So speaking of wingers, Decker, your good mate, Mr. Jacob Murphy.
Yep.
What you made of his pre-season?
Well, what I don't want to go in straight with the negative.
This is going to kill him, isn't it? This is going to kill him.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because, and I have to say this, I want every single player to do well. You know, of course I do. Now, what I will say though is we've played 2 games in pre-season. I believe. I think he played about maybe. I don't know if he played all of the 2 games. And then I seen a few comments, and even himself says, you know, I've done really well in pre-season and blah blah blah. I'm thinking, hang on a second, like. You've only played 7. You've had 7 days worth of pre-season. It's not exactly been like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're talking the odd game against a League One side or a League Two side, but hey, give him his dues. He's come back. He's got his head down. He's working hard. He's doing what he can, and that's fine. That's exactly what I want to see. Maybe him going out and loan for the last few years is give him the experience and build him up a little bit. Do you know what I mean? To be able to come back and be better for us. Do I believe he's the answer? No, I don't, and I'll still stand by that. But I'm not going to slag him off for trying. No way. You know.
I think he had a decent season by all accounts down at Chef Wed last season. Obviously, he's came back, but in all honesty, we're seeing the same from him last summer, didn't we? In pre-season friendly, he got a run of games and looked half decent.
Did Bush take him down there to Chef Wed when he was there? Did he loan him in?
Yes,
that's an interesting one. That.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one.
So he's a player. Yeah, so he's a player that he knows. Obviously, having him on loan there.
Yeah.
While he's been down, is he good enough for the Premier League? He's another one that you can throw into besties. I'm not quite sure list. Good enough for the performances. We haven't really seen enough of him in the opportunities he did get when he was here to say that he's worth a shot. Is the better ahead of him? Absolutely. That we've got at the club, potentially more so with what we might bring in. So again, is it worth having him hanging around the place if you can cash in on him? Who knows?
I don't know if we'll be able to sell him, but it's another loan, I think, isn't it? Another loan out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, best you sell, loan, keep. What you doing with Murphy?
It's hard to say because he has had a like I say, Chef Wed seems to have done really well. He's popular down there and had a decent enough return as well. But he was one who his first season here I thought was hopeless until the game at Old Trafford. We got before 1. Dwight Gale scored 1-0 up, and then I think Ibrahim got a couple and all sorts. And I actually thought he played really well then, and that felt to me like a bit of a turning point. And then after that, he just, for the last I'd say 18 months, but probably longer than that now. You just don't. He's not someone that you would kind of consider to be a first teamer. And when you think he came in for 12 million, which for Newcastle is a lot of money. I mean, for a normal Premier League club, it's bugger all. Like, but for Newcastle, he's probably what 10th top signing or something like that. It would be a shame to loan him out again because his value is only going to diminish. He's going to be less likely to get first team football when he does come back. The longer he goes out on loan, and eventually just runs his contract down. So I think you probably, I hate to say it because I'd love to see him do well. I think you'd probably look to sell.
I think he struggled, at home with the crowd and stuff. When he used to come off the bench, and
well, no, whose fault that is.
Hey, I never boo anyone. I've never done that in a match, even when I've been tempted to. I've always said I'm there to support, and I'm not saying I'll be the loudest singer in the world. I'll try my best, but I'd never ever boo or get on a player's back. I'd never do that. But I think when he used to come off the bench and stuff like that, he looked terrified. If I'm being honest with you, running the ball out of play, then a couple of thousand people would just be going mental on him. He scored a great goal at Man City away. I remember we got beat but it was a lovely finish. He chipped the keeper. He's got pace. He probably has. He has got some quality, but again, as we discuss a lot on here, is it good enough for the Premier League? And it's probably not. But I think we all agree. I hope if he does stay, I hope he becomes brilliant. I hope he challenges St. Maximin for a position. That's what you want. You need competition. You need someone to challenge, but it's going to be tough, right? You know what I mean?
It's a big step up in difference, isn't it? As we know from the Championship to the Premier League, so it's a challenge. But one other bit of news that is potentially affecting us is Arsenal being successful in the signing of Gabriel from Lille for 27 million. So that apparently releases up Rob Holding on loan, with again Newcastle being the favourites to bring him in. So what do we think about that?
I hold my hands up. I don't know anything about the lad. I've only seen like social media stuff and the odd report that he's apparently quite in high regard, but I've never seen him play. So that's just the truth.
The best he's looking very stern again at the thought of it, but yeah, I think that he is talked about as a good young prospect, is highly thought of, but again, he's just that younger player of giving him the opportunity in a team like Arsenal is probably a long way off. Whereas if he can come down to a Championship team or a mid to lower table Premier League team where he's going to get a few more minutes of game time potentially, it's going to be seen as more useful for him. Arsenal have loaned out a lot of their young players in past seasons that have then gone on to come good either at that club or at others. Obviously,
if you look at today's result, what happened today, you can probably see why they're searching for a centre half. When I think a lot of people have been thinking, well, do we really? Oh, see you later, bestie. When a lot of people have been saying, do we really need another one? Because we only look at numbers, right? We're just looking at we've got enough. We feel we've got enough. Not to slag anyone, but the performance today kind of proves that I think we do need maybe some more reinforcements in that area, and if he can do it, then great. But again, though, it's another loan, isn't it? We've had 2 frees, we've got a loan. It's just, it just needs to be better. We need to be more. We need to be doing more. We need to be, but it is what it is.
So there is some questions around the Holden loan. And the thought that obviously we've had a lot of discussions in previous podcasts around the fact that we thought we were quite well off at the back with the 4 or 5, even potentially 6 if you include Dummett in that of centre backs that we had at the club, with Lascelles, Fernandez, Cher, Lejeune, Clark, and Dummett. You look at that and think, well, we've certainly got 6 players that can go in there. So it does feel a little bit odd that we'd be targeting another centre back. But Bestie, do you see him coming in and potentially 1 or 2 of those going out?
Possibly. I mean, towards the end of last season, it seemed to be kind of agreed that Cher wasn't going to be on the scene anymore. He didn't seem that interested. His performances weren't great. So I think if Holden comes in, he comes in as a first teamer. You wouldn't have thought Arsenal would loan him to another Premier League club to have him sit on the bench. like what we did with Giuseppe Rossi all those years ago. Like so, I think you probably see. I think should go. You look at the three that started most games last season. You had Fernandez, Lascelles, Kieran Clark had a good start of the season until he got injured. I'd probably have Holden. I'd probably say ahead of Clark. I think Clark maybe. I don't necessarily like the expression "played above himself," but I think he's probably out of those three the most expendable.
Well, there was a time towards the end of last season I think we were thinking about playing Hayden centre half. We were that desperate, right? And even though you've named, feels like we've got 15, we were struggling to name 2. At one stage, it's ridiculous when you think of it, really. But you know, I'm still a big fan of Fernandez. Like, you know, I'm still a big fan of him.
He's quality Fernandez, like, yeah.
And obviously Lascelles is your skipper, so he's always going to play. Of course, he is. But I think Shane and Lejeune are the two which I would have never ever said this, you know, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, but they're the two I think that look could be on the way out, with Clark then being the other reserve. It's interesting to see. I don't know if they will go or not, but I just look at it from what I see. Fernandez is a huge part of that, in my opinion. Lascelles, it clearly is. Shea, I agree with Best. He really didn't look interested half the time last season. Currently injured. Lejeune, I don't think he'll ever be the same again due to the injuries he's had. That's not a dig at him. It's just so unfortunate for him to have them injuries. Yeah, that's how I feel about it anyway.
Yeah, it's a shame because I think Lejeune is probably one of the best centre backs that I've seen that us have at the club. I would have held him upside there alongside Woodgate as one of the best. And he's gone the same way as Woodgate went with injuries, unfortunately, over the last few seasons. Done his knee badly twice. And even when he did come back in last season, he started off relatively okay, and then things just didn't work out. And then Shea, well, we all know, just God knows what happened to him at the end of the season. But I think Clark is obviously now back from his injury. That's what kind of took him out, and he was the big surprise for me. And I think we all pretty much said the same, as he'd been a ray of light kind of within the team, within his performances and stuff like that. So
got some experience now, Clark, as well. You think the years he's played in this division, in this league,
yeah,
he's got a lot of, because we're signing him from Villa, didn't we? I think he was captain of Villa at the time as well, but they went down or whatever. And a lot of us weren't too sure, but I totally agree with what you're saying. He's never let us down, has he? Never, you know what I mean? Like he's really solid, and he chips in with the odd goal every now and again. No, I think don't get us wrong, I don't want it to be the starting centre half every week, but I think he can definitely be called upon when needed. Like.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's a wait and see on that one. There is strong rumours around coming in. We'll see what the coming days bring with obviously Arsenal announcing that signing today. Last one that we've kind of been linked with for a number of weeks now, and is a position that we've talked about many times. It seems like the last 5 or 6 seasons we've been looking at this left back position, with only having Dummett and Lazar, who's been told not to report back to the club for training or anything like that, as our recognised left backs. Obviously, Bestie, you mentioned earlier on the fact that Ritchie played the majority of this season there, obviously before we signed Rose on loan, and he played a big part in that position at the back end of the season before as well. So a lot of talk about the Greek left back. Do we think this is going to happen? It's a name that just doesn't seem to go away with all talk of a £5 million deal being all agreed. So again, is this another one which just seems to be hanging on to get done, get it over the line?
I'd never heard of him until we got linked with him, to be honest with you. I had no idea. The only kind of reference I've got is that he's FIFA ratings lower than Dummett's, so I don't know what you could read into that like. But,
brilliant.
But that doesn't fill you with,
dear me.
It doesn't fill you with confidence, like, so. Or me at least.
I wonder if his picture actually looks like him, unlike Saint at the beginning of the season last year when he was.
Has Saint been fixed? Has he?
Yeah, he got
21 he has, yeah.
He got fixed, yeah, but he was just generic black fella, wasn't he, for the majority of last season in FIFA. So I think we'll have to see on that one, but it's a position that we've struggled with for a number of years. So, and that's the only kind of name that we seem to be linked with. Rose has gone very, very quiet. I think the positive thing for me is the fact that there's two ways that you can look at it. This guy is the regular in the Greece international team, starting at left back, and Liverpool have just gone and signed his number 2 effectively. So the guy that generally plays when he isn't available. So, which does that mean he's a better player than the one that Liverpool's gone out and bought? And you would think, well, Liverpool's not going to be buying a dud, but that doesn't necessarily be the case. They're not don't have a monopoly on only buying great players. So who knows? But
well, he ain't going to get ahead of Robinson, whoever he is.
Well, that's it. So the fact that he's going there, is that why they've looked at that next level down, is that he is a good player, but he's going to have to play a second fiddle, probably to somebody that's one of the top left wing backs in the world right now.
Me worry isn't just because I don't know him doesn't mean he's not good. Do you know what I mean? Christ, that doesn't mean nothing because I don't know him. But I just the money that we're talking and all the rest of it. Like I just see like another Kraft. Do you know what I mean? Like I know he's a right back, but I mean just that type of comes in. It's tough. It's really tough, man. Especially in the Premier League. The wide areas. It's so important. What does terrifies as well is the thought of starting Dummett there again. So you start from a brand new season and Paul Dummett's your left back. And that's no disrespect to Dummett, but Christ Almighty, as I keep repeating myself, have to move on. You have to be able to progress and. Maybe you give him a go if he's Greece's left back. You know what I mean? Like give him a shot, but I wouldn't say it fills us with confidence. Like, do you know what I mean?
We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one, which it just tends to be a theme at the moment, isn't it? With all of these players that we're being linked with, is we just waiting that next step of an official announcement or recognition around the fact that a bid's been made and accepted or something like that. But it's just all ifs and buts at the moment.
Not just with players, with everything.
It is. It's everything. It's just that is the way the club is run, and you'd think that after 13, 14 years we'd be used to it, but it just doesn't seem to get any better, does it? And on that note, Lee Foster over on Twitter asks and says, first of all, we are perpetually a club in crisis. In pre-seasons last year, we took some beatings post Rafa, but we at least had signed ASM and Joe Linton, etc. So we had that to look forward to. So, with that in mind, is this as low as you have ever felt during an NUFC pre-season? Bestie's in with a shake of a head.
Today's results being compared to it, but that 6-1 at Orient in 2009 was like, we'd been relegated. There was some real dead wood just stinking the place out, and that was a pretty strong side they put out. I mean, it was today as well comparatively, but yeah, that felt like, oh god, we're in trouble here. We're going to just plummet. And obviously that was a big a massive team meeting at full time, and the players that didn't want to be there anymore left, and that season was great. So now I'm far from excited about this season. In Newcastle's prospects therein, but I've definitely felt far lower than I do now. Maybe just because I just don't care that much anymore. I don't know.
I think that's a good. The last point you said there, could be that. It could be that way. I think when you take so many beatings, you've been knocked down so many times. It's just, I don't know, you almost get numb of it, really. I think, but yeah. I agree that probably the lowest I felt was that the Orient game, and I thought, Jesus Lord, we're never going to come back from this. You know what I mean? Or certainly get promoted and all the rest of it. But it's just shit, isn't it? To be really honest, it's just shit, isn't it? Like it's like the thought of being angry or whatever, it's not even that really. It's just shit. Like, it's the best word I can kind of sum it up. I'm trying to think of something more better to say, but that's honestly how I feel. It's just shit. It just really is. Sorry.
I think it's just that the whole, after the Lord's Mayor show, of we've had the summer of thinking we were going to have this huge takeover in what might be with the club. It's just left. I think, and also with the whole lockdown and season being curtailed, etc. It's just kind of left everybody a bit meh about the season. And I think David Light's just summing it up nicely in the comments there on YouTube. It's the most apathetic he's felt towards NUFC in this pre-season.
Yeah,
that's probably about right. Yeah.
So, Mickey Egg over on Twitter as well. So on this whole the whole thought of being down in the dumps in this summer, how do you keep yourself motivated with NUFC? He's feeling massively disconnected from the club and have no ambition for it at the moment either. So he's feeling really down with Newcastle at the moment.
I think for me as well, what doesn't help is we don't know if we can go back. Like, we don't even know if we can go out and see a game. Like, there's even that to throw into the mix as well. Like, hey, as bad as it might be, and there's going to be thousands here that disagree with this, but I still like the idea of a match day, going with my dad, like seeing my dad, having a few beers, going to the match, moaning, complaining, whatever it may be. But it's part of my life. It's part of what I've done for so many years. And now you've got a shit pre-season, shit transfer window, failed takeover, and now you're telling us I can't even go have a game anyway. It just feels so. The connection is so hard to find again. It's just weird. It really is weird. It's a hard one.
I think that's probably been what the biggest impact is the fact that the season just ended very abruptly while we were right in the midst of it. When it then came back around, the fact that it was played out with no crowd, so that connection that you feel of being able to go to the matches or watch it or be part of it is being taken away from us through no choice of ours. And whereas people that have made the choice to step away and not renew tickets or to stop going or whatever, that's been their choice to do that. Whereas kind of at the moment, we've got no choice in that matter. It's been taken away from us.
Yep.
So it kind of, it can drive you one of two ways. Either you want to get back there as quickly as you can, Decker, which is kind of what you're saying. You want to be able to get back in and get back to see that, or it sends you the other way of, well, I've just completely lost interest in it. So
I'm a bit of both. If I'm being honest with you, Mark, I'm a bit of both.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I'd like to go back, I think what it unfortunately has done is it's kind of, I don't know, I hate to say this because I shouldn't say this, but like, normal pre-seasons are normally in life. Newcastle, honestly, is in my head all the time. Like, I think about who we're playing on Saturday. I think about formations. I think about players we should get rid of. I think of players we should sign. It's in my mind all the time. And I'm going to be very honest, over the last few weeks or so, it really hasn't. It really hasn't.
Yeah.
And I haven't even been on Twitter to even have a look to see what's going on. I just haven't. And that's not like me. That really isn't. It's my number one thought, really is the club. And then there's just this full, I don't know, like a real flatness, a real sort of, well, I'm going to say it again, shit. Like, it's just shit. Like, and it's just how I feel. Sorry, that's just how I feel.
Things can only get better.
Yeah, I'm with Decker. I'm with Decker there as well. I mean, last game I was at was Burnley at home. I didn't go to the Southampton game or West Brom game, so that was my last game. And that's February, so it's over half a year ago now. It's the longest I've gone without going to a game since I lived in Norwich, and I don't miss it. I'm not itching to get back. I'm looking forward to when it opens again. I'll go back now. I'll support the team, obviously, but I'm not sitting here kind of. The big thing for me over the course of summer, I gotta bring a takeover up again, was that providing the takeover happened, I didn't really care what happened over the course of after the restart. After it was confirmed in steel, it was like, we got the points. Watford went down, Bournemouth went down, Norwich went down. I thought, right, the rest of the fixtures, I don't care to lose them all, as long as the takeover happens, then we've got something to look forward to. And that's obviously doesn't appear to be on the table anymore. So it's just, well, what is it? Well, we're stuck with it's Groundhog Day. It's Steve Bruce, who I don't hate, Didn't do a terrible job last season. Didn't do a great job last season either. In my opinion, it's hard to get excited about that. But I mentioned earlier, if they do end up with that forward line, St. Maximin, Almiron, Wilson, Fraser, I think there's reason to be, well, not optimistic that they're going to kind of break the top 6, 7, 8, but you might see some decent football. But I'm not missing it, and I feel really sad about that. Maybe it's because there's been so much football on television, I don't feel as if I've kind of gone without. I mean, with the Champions League, every game of the Champions League was on in like 2 weeks, the UEFA Cup, whatever it's called, Europa League. I've probably never watched as much football on television and not really cared about it.
Yeah, it's a strange situation. We're less than 2 weeks away from the start of the season, and it just doesn't seem that it's that close. It still seems that we're like months away from kicking off.
Yeah,
but
like they normally have the kind of they normally have like the showpiece friendly at home and stuff, and obviously that's kind of become a bit of a tradition, and they have the training day when they have the kind of bouncy castles outside. You take your kids in, and they've got the new kit on and stuff. And all that's been missing. I mean, through no fault of the club, that's just kind of external factors that have kind of dictated. That's got to be the case. Like, so, I mean, I think there's that as well. I don't think it's just on Newcastle or just on the Premier League. It's just kind of the way the world is at the minute. Like, but God, I've been fucking miserable tonight. Sorry, lads.
No, it is.
I can hear myself. It's like Christ. If there's any sorry, listeners or viewers, but I'm sitting here. I've got me league tables on the fridge for this season. I'm just kind of like, I'm not that arsed. I've got to get it. I love looking at all the new kits and stuff. And I'm still a bit of a kid at heart, and I love the new kits. I love seeing the players go to the new clubs and the effect that they have. But Newcastle isn't really. I don't know. I mean, it's not that I don't care. I hope to go down now like that. I'm still obviously a Newcastle fan, and I will be going back to the ground and I'll be getting behind the team. But I find it really hard to get excited about them at the minute. I think it's just what Decker says again, kind of just being battered for months and months, years and years and years.
You've only been knocked down so many times; it takes its toll.
Yeah,
it takes its toll. I think that's what it is. Everybody's just feeling that we're in this weird situation of kind of just wondering what's going to happen with the season. We just don't know.
I'm saying all of that, and just to touch on what we've already talked about. If we did sign Fraser and Wilson tomorrow, I'd probably have a spring in my step. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'd be like, it is. And because I'm so sad. I'm so easily led. I'm so, I don't know. I have this belief, like when we signed St. Maxim, I can't tell you how excited I was when we signed him. I had the same excitement when we signed Cabela when he was shite. But, because we don't get anything as a fan base. We don't win anything. We don't do much. We don't win many games. When you get that little new signing or that little bit of hope, you feel like you're running to the hills with it. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. And, that's just, I think if we sign them this week, I'll be like, right, come on, let's get it on type of thing. And then we'll get hammered anyway. But it's just how I feel.
I really, really love the new away and third kits. Like, the new shirts are lush.
Yeah, they are. The yellow one doesn't do much for us, if I'm being really honest. But the purple one I love. And I think the black and white one's really good. Really nice.
The yellow one, it was the point that Mark made about it looking a little bit like the 1991
90 or something, 99 or something. Yeah,
the promotion one. It does. I think that's why I like it so much, because it's got that little kind of, even if it's unintentional. But I think I'm looking forward to seeing them match of the day.
Yeah,
when it's 5-0 to someone else.
Well,
purple one is just is unreal.
It's sensational.
Do you wish the purple went all the way around the back though? Because it's just black, isn't it? It's the only downside I'd say, but it's a lovely shirt.
There's no reason for it not to, because the numbers are yellow, so there's nothing of a contrast there for it.
Yeah. It's a lovely top.
It is.
I do love the New England one. I know we're not an England podcast, but I do love the New England ones. I think they're absolutely amazing.
I don't know if anybody's seen it, but Nike have released a whole host of international shirts today. I think they've released about 10 or 12 different ones, and my God, every single one of them is just absolutely fantastic.
The France ones in particular. France.
Yeah, Portugal away. Oh, it's unreal, that one. So definitely have a look at the Nike international kits that have been released.
Cheer yourself up and look at other countries' or other team shirts.
Well, that's the thing is everybody's just kind of just stuck in this weird kind of situation at the moment of obviously we're coming out of lockdown. Life seems to be getting back to normal somewhat. The kids are going back to school. More and more people are going back to work, the workplace, and actually getting back into their environments. So it's just an adjustment, isn't it? And it's had an impact on how everybody feels and thinks about football. Newcastle is a mad beast at the best of the times. So people are looking at us and other fan channels and podcasts and stuff like out there to bring them a bit of light relief and to try and to make them excited about this season. So God help them if they tuned in tonight.
It's sad, though, isn't it? It's really sad, though, isn't it? You think a club as great as ours, and like the fan base that we've got and the passion that we always have, and every fan up and down the country will say nobody is mad as the Geordies. No one likes Newcastle. You know what I mean? If how flat we all are, like everyone, there's no one's excited for the new season. It's so sad, when you think of who we are and what we are, that it's come to this, that we're just so flat, like, and just not even looking forward to the new season coming around. It's really sad. Really sad.
Well, you made a great point though, Decker, is that all it takes is just a little couple of bits of news, a little bit of a breakthrough potentially with those couple of signings. That's just going to give everybody a spark and give them a lift and bring back that optimism that's missing somewhat and get us, let's utter those words, looking forward to the new season with a bit of hope.
You never know, but we could wake up tomorrow morning. Michael Chopra could be chairman, Barack Obama pictured on the pitch, or Photoshop on the pitch holding his scarf, and
Christ Almighty! Do you see his tweet the other day? He put a tweet on saying, "What was it? Does he really want to sell the club or something? Wasn't it like that? Like something like that?" I was just like, "Yeah, man, fuck off, will you?" Yeah, that's had its day. Mandy's done off. She's away. That's it. Never to be heard or seen of again. Some people are saying that they're happy with the quietness and they think that means something's happening. But for me, it means nought. It means, she did a war cry for us and says, right, get your petitions out, get your pens out, travel out to London, stand outside the headquarters, do what you've got to do. I think everybody did it, and that's it. Yeah. Good night. So, I got one more question, Mark, to finish it off. Find a real good one.
Would you? We've got one last question, just to bring a little bit of light relief. So, and it's in from one of our super fans, Mr. Mitchell Hill. So, Daryl asks us, he says, he tried foot golf for the first time yesterday. So, for anybody that doesn't know what foot golf is, you're playing on a golf course, and rather than using a golf club and golf balls, you use your foot and a football, and you tee off, and you've got to kick the ball as hard and as far as you can, and basically get in the hole. So you're playing a giant game of golf, but with your feet and a football. So
very James Milner style sort of intro that was. It was
yeah. So yes, foot golf. It is worth a good game.
It is good.
I've played it. It is a good laugh. So Darryl played that up at Whitley Bay yesterday, and it got him thinking: if you had to swap your golf clubs for NUFC players, past and present, who makes you set? So he's gave us an example here, and he's gone for a sand wedge. He'd go with Philippe Albert because he's a good chipper.
Never heard of
him. Yeah.
So Decker, as our resident golfer,
I'm practicing my grip now, man. All night I've just been practicing.
Who's going in your bag? Who's in your golf bag?
What the hell, I don't know.
Craig Bellamy be my driver.
Your driver, yeah. Bellas.
Just because he had a lot of motoring offences, didn't he? So
it's really it's a difficult list because you've got a lot of clubs,
Marco Alonso wouldn't be a good choice for that, would he?
No, God, no.
Driver, somebody that absolutely whack it.
Mitro, I'd have Mitro as my driver.
Mitro, that's a good shout.
Yeah, fairway was like 2 or 3 mile wide. Maybe he's like, you've got to have accuracy as well. Like,
that's all right. I could control that. Shiro would be a bad one. Like Sam Wedge for Albay is brilliant, by the way. That's a great shout. That one.
It is
really good shout. That. Me hybrid would be Maximum. I think Maximum for me hybrid. Me putter's the one I'm trying to think of. Need someone that's like
Hugo
Viana. Hugo Viana or something like that, Someone that's just nice and cool, easy,
So my pitch.
I've just had a text actually off one of my mates. He says, Jonathan Woodgate. For one of the words. That's quite a good one. I'll give you that one, Mick.
Play on words.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
good play on words.
for pitch and wedge, I'm going for it's between Ryan Taylor and Liam O'Brien for me, for the way they used to get them up and over the wall.
Ah, lovely.
Yep.
Lovely shout that.
But I put who dead something
We have
deadly
maybe-
accurate.
I'm thinking Shelby for like a fairway iron.
Yeah, ping it. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's a fan of the ping, isn't he?
Right. Goodbye as
Put
well.
as a
maybe
tough one, though.
I could put her as maybe someone like him who just passes at short distances.
David Batty.
Aye.
Little taps.
Trying to think, who was like a real Rolls Royce back in the day? You know, like a real player that was just smooth. Well, Ginola was pretty smooth, like, but
Yeah.
trying to think of like someone that's like, I don't know.
Oh, it's got
It's a hard one, that,
now.
you know.
Any thoughts on YouTube? Stick it in the comments. Give us some ideas.
Joe Linton.
Oh, Joe Linton. What's is he the bag that goes on top of your club, like your club warmer?
He's the head cover. Head cover. Big Joe.
Who's your dream caddy then? So Newcastle players, past or present, who you going to have as your caddy?
I'd have to say Shearer, like, probably for me.
Shearer?
Yeah.
I'm going to say John Burridge because he had experience with a lot of clubs.
Oh, I like it. I like what you
I thought
did
you were
there.
going with Craig Bellamy with that one. Yeah.
So
I tell you what, we
Marty
haven't
says,
touched on though. We haven't even touched on the 5-1. Did he have? Or do you just not want to?
who wants to tie about that?
Yeah, we'll go about the golf clubs.
So Marty wants to know who would be the ball cleaner. If all the rumours were true, Cabela. Or perhaps Perez.
Careful.
I would say Lionel.
Allegedly.
The ball cleaner. I bet Perez could clean the old bars, like.
I wouldn't mind Hendrick's cleaning my balls the way he was looking in that holiday picture.
As long as he didn't wear top, he can clean my balls, like.
I think I'm going to say I'm going to go with an actual ball. The clean ball, Danny Simpson.
Danny Simpson?
Danny Simpson.
Remember Stoke away that time?
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, good shout.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good shout, that.
Stoke used to have a lot of them, didn't the ball cleaners? Towel for the long throws.
Only for the home team, though, wouldn't it? The away team that never seemed to get any action. Then we did that one night and beat them 3-1.
The bar scored a hat-trick, didn't he?
Aye.
Great night away, that was brilliant. Fantastic performance. I think we were 5th or 6th at that time as well, you know. We were really flying high at that point.
How
times have changed, How times have changed.
So we've had a couple of shouts for putter. So Ben Street reckons Colo would make a good putter.
Oh, that's a good shout. Love Colo, you know.
And Callum Lewis, he's gone for either Beardsley or Gaza.
I'd be fucking pissed me putter, wouldn't it? Beardsley, I was thinking of Cabai actually when Bessie said it. Cabai was just easy, you know what I mean? Just strokes the ball. You know, that's what you want when you putter, you know what I mean? Gaza would just be like, fucking my eye. And then, you know what I mean? You need someone that's just nice and easy, you know? Cabai would be the one, I think. Like.
He was a magician at the time when we had him like Gaza back in the day. Him and Waddle.
Unbelievable.
What players they were.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
What might have been.
Yep.
Just a shame I was too young to fully appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna sign Messi in the next 11 days. So Dave Remark, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Well, that's it. We just need this takeover to be resurrected. First signing Messi.
But I'm sure there's a photo somewhere of Obama, Michael Chopra, and Messi have already met.
Probably true.
It wouldn't surprise us in some sort of Regis office building down in London somewhere.
Adam's giving him a wave here, lads. Adam's not happy at all here.
He doesn't like Chopra. Well, that's a nice way to end our this highly motivational podcast that we've done
just
today.
Apologise. We'll have to apologise, because this has been a shocker. Really, like all the smiling faces was just, you know, I mean.
Look, you can only discuss what is served up to you on the plate. You try to put as good a spin on it as you possibly can, but
give some red sauce.
It's kept people entertained somewhat. But as ever, thank you for tuning in. Those that have watched us live, thank you for joining in with the questions over on Twitter and here on YouTube. We'll be back again next week, and this will be the penultimate podcast before the start of the season. Can you believe it?
Mental. It's mental.
So yeah, 11 days to go till the start of the 2021 season. Let's hope some of these some of these potential names and things that we've talked about this evening might come to fruition in the next 5 to 7 days. That would be nice to get we're going ready for next week. But as ever, thank you for joining in. Thank you, Decker. Thank you, Bestie. And thank you for Adam, the man behind the camera.
See you in a bit, lads. Take care.
Wish you all good night. Take care.